What's going on, you loyal listeners? Thank you for tuning in to the Elsewhere podcast. I'm your host here, Luke Larson, and joining me today, as per the unusual, a very special, lovely and loquacious special guest who will be assisting me in leisurely launching you into levity. Friend of the show, uh, writer, producer, director of the new film Lucid, which is at the South Dakota Film Festival right now. We can go and watch it. David Mair, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's fun to be back.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. You've kind of seen us evolve a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw this movie first, I didn't know it was yours right away. Because just to bring the loyal listeners in, we met two years ago at the festival, and ever since then, like, David's like a staple. Like, I always want to see David when I'm at the festival, and when we had a conversation, you know, you just kind of like, you're just the type of guy who likes to just make movies, and your thing is your number one critique for most movies is I think they can be shorter. You know, you like shorter films, more compact, and you know, usually fun, lighthearted. I always love your stuff, but so when I was like, oh, it's Lucid. I'm like, I started it, and then I realized, oh yeah, this is David's. Oh hell yeah, you know. So I started watching it, and I was like, wow, look at you, like really flexing the dramatic tones, like really going for that Oscar here, you know, the David Fincher dimly lit interior, and he comes in. And anyway, do you want to give the listeners a little bit of a synopsis of what the film's about?
Yeah, I guess I'll describe it. I'm not going to worry too much about spoilers because it's just a short film, and they'll have to experience it for themselves if they want to go watch it.
Yeah.
But it basically starts off with a man who comes home to a place by himself, and he's clearly very lonely, and he looks at some photos, and it's clear that he must have had a wife and a daughter who's now an adult, and he's no longer in contact with her, and when he comes in, he has a gun and sets it on the counter. He's got a grocery bag with a French baguette sticking out of the top. He looks at himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I'll explain some of this in a minute, why I'm talking about all these details. But so then he picks up the phone, and he drinks some alcohol, then calls his estranged daughter, says she wants nothing to do with him, and then he begins coughing and coughs up blood into a handkerchief and collapses. And then the next scene, he's in the doctor's office, and she has an x-ray that shows like a chest x-ray, but with this bright orange area on it. And essentially the doctor says, I know what's going on here. You're a character in a movie. And she gives him all the clues about his dark, mysterious occupation, his need to resolve some sort of personal conflict, his imminent demise, his coughing up blood, which is the telltale sign of the cough of death.
Yeah.
In films. Plus, the X-ray wasn't really an actual, it was a very doctored medical image. And then so she comes up with the idea for him that now that he's aware that he's a character in a movie, he can become a lucid character and affect his fate. And so he imagines a scene at the end where all his problems are solved. And so he's flying through the air with his daughter and the doctor and her assistant for no reason. And that's the end. Yeah. So that's the synopsis. Kind of a long synopsis for a film.
But I mean, it honestly really did throw me. And when he coughs up the blood and then passes out and the picture falls, and then it just cuts to the broken glass. Every time I see that in a movie, and when I saw it in yours, I always kind of roll my eyes like, we get it. Like, you know, you have a damaged relationship, your perception of this person isn't accurate, like, we get it, you know. And then just for you to use that is just like trying to fit in. So I know you said that when making this, you tried to fit as many movie tropes as you could into it, right?
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's a lot. It depends on what type of movie you're talking about, but I think there's a lot of things I've seen in movies that so many of them, I like you said, roll my eyes because it's been done so many times. And it's not that they're necessarily bad things. And especially when they were first done, it was probably original, but then, you know, when it was first done, it worked so well that other people want to copy it. But then it becomes, when it gets used so often, it becomes very predictable and just gets overdone.
You've seen it too many times. And so I try to put a lot of those types of things in that beginning part. You know, the person with a grocery bag with a French baguette sticking out of the top.
Always, yeah.
The gun, like, it's just not necessary, but for
To
some
just
reason,
have it out and then just lay it. Yeah.
Yeah, and hitmen characters. I mean, there's so many hitmen characters in movies.
Yeah.
Lovable hitmen characters, which, you know, really, like, how many of us have ever encountered a lovable hitman in our day-to-day lives?
I mean, if there was somebody in your life that you thought, like, I could probably pay this person to kill somebody, I would guess it wouldn't be like, just like, oh, I'll just ask my brother-in-law to do it. He's funny, and, you know, he seems charming, and sure, he'd have a good time, you know. I mean, it's always got to be like a mechanic who's like, who just is backed on child, you know, support payments, probably lives in a mobile home, doesn't have a lot going for him, and, you know, you offer him twice as much as he's normally going to get in a week, and he'll probably, I mean, I'm not saying I've done this before.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens, I'm sure, but, you know, and I guess there's a reason why, because that's obviously how
it's interesting if that were to really be happening, certainly. Yeah. And then the, you know, the medical image and the coughing up blood. I mean, we've all seen, and like you said, like the shot, you know, going into the broken glass with his picture of his daughter. I mean, so it's I'm kind of poking fun at that stuff, but I mean, it's not like any one of those things is like, if that's in a movie, that the movie's bad. It's just that you know, that many of them that, you know, in your face right off the bat. Yeah, I didn't want to give away the reveal too much either, but I wanted to have people feel a little bit of dramatic tension there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was gonna say too. Is the performances are just pitch perfect in this, and the main character, he really plays it straight and isn't hamming it up, and is very believable.
Oh yeah, he totally got what I was going for, and just really delivered a great performance. You know, at the beginning, obviously, you really feel for him, and he, you know, he deadpans it in the second half.
Yeah.
So he's still like the same character, but like realizing what's going on. He just you know. Yeah, he nailed the performance. It really sells it, I think.
Yeah. What was it difficult to write, like, when it takes that meta turn? I don't know. Was that hard to write dialogue, or to kind of keep it in the moment, or not?
Not necessarily. I think, I mean, because I had a very clear idea of all the total overall structure of where we were going, and I was setting up things so that, I mean, it's basically set up in punchline where she would point out the things that were apparent in the beginning part.
Sure.
And so I think, so not necessarily. The question was kind of how far to go with it, because, like, do we want them looking at the camera? Do we, because you can start to get really silly. And I didn't want to go that far, or like have them kind of pull back, and then there's like the boom guy and the camera crew. Like you could go really far with it, but I wanted to kind of keep it like as though they're still in this somehow functioning fake universe.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's seems like there's a little bit of a fine line there, but I think you walked it perfectly. And who played the doctor? What was that actress name?
Valerie Falcon, who's a South Dakota native.
Hey.
She's from South Dakota. She's living in Brookings now, I believe.
Oh wow.
And she came in. I've worked with her before, and she clearly I thought she'd be good for the role, and she really delivered on it too.
Yeah,
so.
She nailed it. It was so funny, just the whole time.
Yeah, she's likable. She's not a nice character, a nice person, but
right, no,
but competent and still somehow likable.
Yeah, for sure. And just quippy and in the moment, and just everybody was so good,
I think the important thing that she gave across is that like
she clearly knows what she's talking about, and you don't really question, at least that was the goal, that you don't like does this person know what they're talking about? Like she just is so confident, and so she knows exactly what she's doing, what she's saying, and so that part, her performance sells that too, that like she knows what's going on. There's no
absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so I do have one question for you.
Okay.
If you were stuck in one movie genre, like you just realized you were stuck in a movie, what would that be?
Myself if I was to be a character in a movie?
Yes.
Wow. Like me personally, I don't think I'd want to be in a horror film.
Sure. Good call.
That's an interesting question, because pretty much any good movie has a lot of conflict and bad things going on in it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I like futuristic sci-fi stuff as a genre, but most of those are dystopian in some way or another.
Yeah, and have some big societal issue that they're shedding light on. Yeah, because like, I'll give you what I thought of, because I was thinking about this. I think there's a lot you could pick from, but if I had to pick one, I think I might pick like a private eye, like a private investigator, like a Fletch type. So like, you just have an office, you're just one dude, and they're usually like kind of lazy-ish. They can be if they want to be, but they have tenacity and they get paid well enough, and they can kind of pick when they do stuff and when they don't. And there's usually like drama with exes, and then they're just following people around, and then they get a little bit caught up, but they're usually witty and nothing too terrible happens to them. So I was like, I would do that, I think.
That'd be a reasonable choice. I wonder what would be, if you're in that universe, like what would you
use your lucid abilities to do to affect in the world?
Boy, that is an interesting question.
And the question there too, like how extensive are you? Just basically aware that you're there and you can kind of do what you want, or do you have the ability to affect the world around you with just your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, we could unpack that a little bit, because if you can control anything, then you can kind of control whatever the genre is or whatever is going on. So I feel like there have to be some limitations.
Exactly.
Well,
I guess the limitation I set up in this thing is the aspect of suspension of disbelief. Like, how far can you push it before you break the world?
Right. Yeah.
So I guess if you use that as the guide, like whatever you do, it'd have to fit in that.
Yeah.
Fit within the genre and remain in the genre.
Right. So if it remained in the private eye genre, I was a private eye and I knew I was in a movie, but I knew I couldn't like just be God or whatever. I would probably just do what they normally do in there, and just like
Solve crimes, solve
yeah,
cases.
just like I'll drive around, and then I know that I probably won't get killed. You know, I'll probably get shot at. I'll probably get beaten up at some point.
If you're the protagonist, yeah, you're probably all right.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna die. I'll be following somebody, and they'll get out, and they'll like rough me up and punch me in the stomach. You know, maybe cut my nose or something. You know, but I don't think I'd die. So I'd probably just it'd be fun to. And the nice part is too, normally you solve the crimes.
Yeah.
In movies too. You know, there's not usually a lot of ambiguity, because if you like look at, you know, true crime stuff and people following these, you know, a lot of crimes go unsolved for a really long time.
Yeah.
So that would also be nice to just have the whole thing wrapped up, and then, you know, maybe my ex and I get back together and I live in a shack by the beach or something. You know, it wouldn't be all bad.
Yeah, it would be all bad.
It just starts again, a new thing, you know, a new mystery.
Yeah. I think maybe I'll stick with my futuristic sci-fi, but I'm gonna go with more like a Star Trek. I'm not the hugest Star Trek fan, but the concept of like being on a spaceship and on adventures, and you know, they're pretty safe most of the time.
Yeah, it's usually like
Exploring.
more. They seem to get into more like psychological conflicts, more like existential stuff, and less like Star Wars would be pretty perilous.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dicey, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd last long in that universe.
I don't think so either. I mean, I might cut a deal with the Empire pretty quick. I mean, I might be Lando, you know? I might be like, yep, all right, cool. Yep, you got it. I mean, neat.
I'd be in a space dogfight, and I'd be one of those that just, you know, off to the side explodes.
Just right away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, please, if you're interested in this, loyal listeners, you can watch this movie, Lucid, right now at southdakotafilmfest.org/VOD. And there you go. Click the link and go enjoy all the other films. But thank you, David, so much for coming on the show. And I look forward to what you do next. I'm a big fan.
Thank you very much. Try to keep producing something. It's a difficult time for that right now, but
yeah, definitely.
Keep doing something. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, where's a place people can find you?
If you just Google "We'll Fix It in Post Productions," you should be able to find our website, and there's a bunch of my stuff there if they want to check it out. YouTube channel as well, same thing. I think just "We'll Fix It in Post Productions."
Okay, awesome. Thank you, David. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at LukeLarson89. Find this podcast at L Squared Podcast on Twitter. On Instagram, we're on Facebook at L2 Podcast. Hit us up. Let us know what you think of Lucid and the other films. And until next time.